Hey guys, Jeremy here from School of Wok Covent Garden. It's Wok Wednesday or Wok Less Wednesday, and this week it's a huge suggestion. Loads of people have asked for it. It's egg drop soup, or here in the UK, sweet corn soup. Over here in the UK, we call it, it's kind of like sweet corn soup, but there's lots of different Chinese soups that you drop egg into. Hot and sour soup, sweet corn soup. I think in the US, it may or may not have sweet corn in it. I quite like it with sweet corn because it sweetens up the soup naturally. I'm gonna add some shiitake mushrooms. I've got golden egg yolk eggs here because I want to get that nice sort of bright orangey yellow color from the egg yolk. We've also got some baby corn as well, so I'll cut those up and we'll get going. We've got homemade chicken stock boiling away on the side. That homemade chicken stock, cook it for 3-4 hours. We've got some star anise in there, some bay leaf, onions, spring onion, some seared ginger, lots of chicken bones, and you just sort of skim it every sort of 15-20 minutes so it's nice and clear. So spring onions just for garnish later on. So nice rings of spring onion. That should do it. So that's for later. Some shiitake mushroom actually I'll go for next because we're going to slice that up. And what you can do, these are fresh shiitake. Of course you can use dry shiitake and just put the dry shiitake straight into the soup. But with your fresh shiitake, I quite like to sort of wok fry them a little before putting into the soup and then keep some for texture for later on. And this will add a lot of flavour to your soup. If your chicken stock has already got a lot of depth of flavour, especially when you're making it fresh, then this type of soup doesn't take long to cook at all. It's kind of really a compiling job and seasoning. So my shiitake are ready to cook up. My baby corn, just again an addition of texture. I'm going to go for nice rounds of baby corn. We've got your sweet corn that can go into your rolling boil stock. And I've got all that sort of water that sweet corn's sitting in as well, because that sort of sweetness means that I don't need to add any sugar to this soup. And then before I put any mushrooms in, I'm going to give them a quick sear in the wok. You don't need excessive amounts of oil in this because I can use a bit of that stock to sort of keep the mushrooms going. The wok needs to be smoking hot. Your shiitake can go in. Fold that round to get some oil around sort of as much of that mushroom as possible. But whilst it's really, really smoking hot, you can just take a little bit of that stock, and this will cook those mushrooms through very quickly. So just add a bit more stock as you're going to cook those mushrooms through quickly. That searing, what it does is it's going to bring some of that flavour out to the edge of the mushroom. So when I put it in the soup, it will really add more flavour and that depth of, that sort of umami or savoury flavour from the mushrooms themselves. So I'm going to take most of those mushrooms and pop them straight into the pot of stock for flavour. These guys, I'm going to sear a little bit more with just a drizzle more oil, and that's for garnish later on, just as I serve up. You almost want a little char on those mushrooms. And this is how to sort of poshify your egg drop soup. Now, whilst that soup's boiling away, taking all that flavour in from the sweet corn and the shiitake, we can whisk up your eggs, get everything ready, including your corn flour. So, the egg drop. Essentially, it's a bit of seasoned, whisked egg. But we've got these really nice golden yolk eggs. Not 100% necessary, but does make a difference to the aesthetics and flavour, of course. So I've got 4 medium-sized eggs here. enough to make that egg drop count. Give it a good whisk up. I'm going to season those with a pinch of salt, pepper, and a little bit of sesame oil. I've seen some recipes with turmeric in them. That's not necessarily my go-to for colour. It obviously does make your soup more yellow, but it doesn't taste right in the soup, so I wouldn't put it in. So as I say, like, the flavour really comes from that base stock, and if you've got a good base stock for this soup, you don't really need to cook it for too long. I can already smell the sort of sweetness of the sweet corn coming out. I haven't seasoned it yet. I'm just going to taste that first. Got a good depth of flavour from the mushrooms. 15-20 minutes, you have a quick soup. You want a good amount of salt in this to bring out the flavour of all that sweet corn and mushroom. A pinch of white pepper. If you want, a little bit of sesame oil, but not too much. It's tasting like egg drop soup to me. So just another pinch of salt. Then the next thing is thickening. So I've got some corn flour here. I'm not going to use all of this, but I will sort of, it's kind of 2-to-1 water to corn flour. And we're going to add a bit of paste at a time to get it to a nice thickness. Now, as you guys probably know, for our subscribers for sure, I'm not a big fan of corn flour paste myself. So I'm going to go literally a teaspoon at a time until I get to the right consistency. And what I'm looking for is to thicken the soup, but not too much, because when the egg drop goes in, that will again thicken it more naturally. I'm more of a on the thinner side type of person, but if you want to go for that thick, sort of gloopy soup, just add more corn flour paste. That's not my style. You've got to allow the corn flour paste to boil through and cook through before it thickens up. So I've only had about 3 teaspoons of corn flour paste in there, and it's not quite there yet, so we're going to add a bit more. It's starting to thicken a little now. Can you see that? So I'm almost there. I've had about 10 teaspoons of corn flour. A couple more spoons of corn flour paste. I think we're getting to the thickness that I quite like here. And that is sort of a dripping consistency, but not gloopy. And you can see that now when I pour that. It just should be sort of silky smooth. That's what we're looking for. Now, the last bit, of course, is the egg drop. I actually rather switch the whole soup off after a vigorous boil, leave it for a couple of minutes, and then stir the egg drop into it very gradually. And that way you get nice sort of thick wisps of the egg. Switch that off, take it off the heat, stop it from boiling. So the very last bit of making this soup is when it's off the heat, not boiling hot. Just stir your soup around to get a nice sort of gentle whirlpool, I'll call it. And then gradually drop your soup, your egg into that whirlpool. And you can see the wisps of egg forming nicely. And this, of course, is what makes that soup its unique texture. And now, with the egg drop in there, when I pop my ladle in, you can see the texture of that, which is why I don't go overboard with the corn flour. It's very important to take it off the heat. If it was boiling hot, your egg would kind of just want to jump everywhere, and that doesn't work. You've got to go nice and calm, then go gentle, give it that last stir, and you get a really good texture. Got your lovely kernels of sweet corn just peeking out. can see how wispy that egg is. Plenty of shiitake in there as well. And then a few of these nice, sort of more charred or seared slices of mushroom. Spring onion. It's a quick and simple but super tasty egg drop soup. So I've actually got some black vinegar here on the side. I'm going to try it without first. I like that. I think it'd pass the US test. A little bit of black vinegar doesn't hurt. It always accentuates the flavour, if anything. Oh yeah. A little bit more classic with that black vinegar. Love it. Love the textures, the wispiness of the egg. Very, very simple recipe, but it's all about technique, much like the rest of our recipes. If you like this recipe and you want to learn more, don't forget to subscribe to the School of Wok channel.